Hi, good morning. My name's Otis Toussaint, and I am with the 5th Medical Recruiting Battalion here in San Antonio, Texas. Today, we have the honor of having with us on our discussion on racial diversity and inclusion, General James C. McConville, the Chief of Staff of the Army. So I hope that you enjoyed today's discussion, and here we go. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the Chief of Staff of the Army, James C. McConville. Hey, sir, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Sir, I was giving you a little bit of a riff before our discussion, but, I hear that you're from Massachusetts. Sir, you want to give us a little bit of a background about who you are, where you're from, a little bit of information like that, sir?
Yeah, Jim McConville, grew up in Quincy, Massachusetts. So I'm a Red Sox and Patriots fan by both birth and choice. And, I came from a working class family in Boston. One of the, jobs I had was when I was 16 years old, I worked for the Quincy sewage department. And it was a great learning experience for me because I got some good mentoring during that time frame as we were doing some of that difficult work that goes on with the sewage department. One of the older gentlemen that worked there said, hey, Jim, you may want to go to college. You don't want to be doing this 50 to 60 years from now. And in some ways, and in the fact that my dad served in the Navy for 3 years during the Korean War, then worked at the Boston Gear Works for 49 and a half years, he gave me the same kind of mentoring and coaching. And I think that's what inspired me to go to college, to go to West Point, and to join the Army, never thinking that I would be here 39 years later. So very, very blessed to have had a chance to serve. The Army and the military has really given me purpose in life. It's given me an opportunity to be part of, I would argue, is one of the world's greatest and most respected teams. It's also given me a chance to go to college, to get a master's degree and to go to Harvard and also serve with the world's finest soldiers. So very, very happy to have chosen that path.
Excellent, excellent. So, sir, I really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your background. I had the opportunity to come as a young immigrant from the Caribbean, 1995, Trinidad and Tobago is where I'm from. I joined the military at 20 out of Brooklyn, New York, came in as a young enlisted. Then I got a Green to Gold scholarship, had me a chance to become a citizen. And then I came back as a medical officer. I served at the 101st. I served at 86 Cash. I medical retired out, but now I had a chance to continue serving and give an opportunity to, do platforms like these with the 5th Medical Recruiting Battalion here in San Antonio, Texas. So, sir, I really appreciate you sharing your background. I appreciate you listening to my background, of course, but I really think it's a great opportunity for you to come and talk with the many who are chiming in with our discussion today about the Army's commitment regarding diversity and racial inclusion. And so I know Boston, Massachusetts is a very diverse, very multicultural state and city. And so, sir, I would love to hear about how exactly your upbringing may have shaped your mentality and, I guess, philosophy regarding diversity and racial inclusion.
Yeah, I think when it comes to diversity, first of all, I appreciate you telling your story. One of the things that I've been really excited about in the Army is, everyone has a story. And, I enjoy doing promotions. I enjoy doing retirements. I enjoy talking to soldiers because there's just so many instances. Look at you as a success story, coming to this country, getting a chance to go to school, getting a chance to be a professional. The Army is not a perfect organization, but we strive to be. And we give people opportunities. And I felt the same way to come from, working class roots. We certainly weren't poor. We, had great parents. Growing up in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is really South Boston. But I got a chance to leave that area, and really the military exposed me to diversity. I got a chance to go to West Point, where we brought people from all over the country, and I got to hear their stories and see their stories. And you know, in your organization, you could have the son of the Attorney General of the United States in my company at the time. At the same time, someone coming from very humble working class roots, but you all come together as a team. And diversity is the strength of the Army. What I would argue, what's even more important than diversity is inclusion. It's great that you have diversity, you have folks from all different ways of life, you know, different races, different ethnicity, different gender, different beliefs. But what's more important to me is inclusion. Everyone feels that they are a valued member of the team, and you listen to their perspectives. That's what makes us strong.
Absolutely. Inclusion is important. It's okay having an opportunity to have a seat at the table, but if your ideas or your ideals or your philosophies are not, you know, listened to, taken seriously, or considered in the final decision of things, what's the point of even being at the table, I would say. Sir, you know, regarding how can leaders that you have under your leadership, how can they utilize diversity and have it in place within their areas of location and coverage?
Yeah, I think you know, one of the things that I've learned this over the years is, you know, when you're a leader, the more perspectives that you have on your team, the better off you're going to be. You know, I try to personally hire people not only to have different perspectives on baseball than I have, but also different perspectives from backgrounds. Because if you hire everybody that has, you know, that thinks like you, that acts like you don't get different perspectives. And different perspectives is where you get better solutions. And so, you know, I suggest, you know, I argue that is what every leader wants to do. You want to have a very diverse team. And what we have to do in the Army is we have to fight for talent. You know, we want the best and brightest to come in from all walks of life that represent the diversity of the nation. And we need to recruit them. And then when they come in the Army, we need to mentor and coach them and make them know that they have a good path to success in here, because there's a lot of opportunities out there. And I would argue, you know, we have a talent management program in the United States Army. I'm a big proponent of talent management. We are in a war for talent. You know, everyone out there is competing for the best and brightest in the United States of diversity. We have to do the same. And, you know, and that's what's going to keep us the greatest Army in the world.
Absolutely. I would say I definitely agree with you. We have a slew of talent out there. We have to be competitive in keeping folks motivated to want to join our ranks, to actually serve with us on the left and the right. That's absolutely something that I agree with. I want to ask, sir, you know, you spoke a little bit about mentorship. How does diversity in mentorship, what does it mean to you? You know, it's okay. Say, for instance, I'm coming up as a junior officer. I have someone who's serving as my mentor. Is it really important that I have someone that looks like me, or should I purposely go out and have a mentor, maybe someone who doesn't look like me or even thinks like me? What do you think, sir?
Well, what I think is you really want a mentor that can help you self-actualize. So I would argue in some ways you want different types of mentors. You may want someone that's in the same branch as you, because they can give you some insights into what's going on in that branch. But you may want someone that is completely different than you, because they will help with your perspective, and they may give you an opportunity to see things a little differently. And I think that's what makes the best officers. I think, you know, if we take a look at, when I look at what we want in senior officers, you know, some people talk about, you know, you want competency, they call it IQ, you know, so you want people that know their jobs. And so you want people that can help you know your job. The other thing is you want people with EQ, an emotional quotient that can help you make sure you have empathy for the people that you're going to lead and serve. And they tend to make the best leaders, people that know their job, but also really care about people. And I would argue that as you get more senior, the more you care, the more empathy you have for the entire force, the better leader you can be, because everyone as they move to the top is going to have competence. You just won't get through the various rungs. But people want to be inspired. They want people to care about them. They want people to, and when I talk about people in the Army, I'm talking about everyone. I'm talking about certainly soldiers in the regular Army, the National Guard, in the reserve. I'm talking about our great Department of the Army civilians. I'm talking about our families. I'm talking about our soldiers for life, both our retirees and veterans. And I'm talking every soldier, every single person of diversity should feel that they are a important and valued member of the team. And that's how you get an organization that operates at the highest level.
Got you. So everyone could have an opportunity to eventually move up in rank and have themselves reflected in the show that they're moving away from, unfortunately, racial implicit bias that may have gone on for a long time. What are some of the things that the Army is doing right now?
Yeah, you talked. I think that's really important that we recognize, and we actually did a fairly significant study on unconscious bias. And a lot of people, and I think what's important is, I'm not going to, try to, argue with it. There's racism out there. I think we ought to acknowledge it and say it's there. But there's something that a lot of people don't know. There's unconscious bias. And so, we were taking a look at our promotion boards. And when I was the director of personnel, I used to interview every board member after promotion boards and say, hey, should we have pictures or not have pictures? And I was most concerned, quite frankly, what our minority officers thought, what our female officers thought, because again, I'm very concerned about any unconscious bias. Almost to a person, they would tell me, don't get rid of the pictures. It's really important. That way you can recognize diversity. You can see these type things. Well, what we did is we actually did a scientific study. And what we found out was that people on the board tended, because of unconscious bias, to pick people that look like them. So if you're African-American, you tended to vote African-Americans higher. It wasn't racism. It was just you saw someone, and it may be, if someone's from New York that's like you, that look like you, that's who you want on your team. Caucasians tend to vote Caucasians higher. Females tended to vote, Caucasians higher. Hispanic did that, or even people that had similar backgrounds, And so in the picture was the most pronounced, because people say, well, you need to change pronouns in the evaluation reports. We're taking a look at that too, and you need to change. But the fact that you look at a picture and you form an impression of a person before you even getting to, what type of record they're doing. So we have gotten rid of pictures in our promotions. We do a battalion commanders assessment program. Part of that is kind of an interview with senior officers. So what we do is we put up a screen. So you do not know the race, the ethnicity. You probably can figure out gender maybe by the voice of someone. But we're trying to make our procedures as fair as possible, so everyone has a chance to rise to the highest levels based on their merits.
I would say so, sir. I would say maybe additionally, and maybe this is just my suggestion, but names also can play a part in the implicit bias of things. I mean, it's shown, and I've seen multiple stories on different news areas where same person but different names on a resume, and typically some. All right. So, sir, I got another question regarding racial and implicit bias, unconscious bias, et cetera. What are some of the things that leaders, all the way down from squad leader all the way on up to Chief of Staff of the Army. What can leaders do right now to help the situation that we're dealing with regarding the social discourse that's going on, the discussions that's needed within their leadership rank? What are some things that people could start doing right now?
Yeah, I just want to just touch on before we go, on the names, and I think we are looking at that. I want to be at the show, because that's our next step. What I'm trying to do is make sure we have science to back that up. I do agree. I'm concerned about names. We're concerned about pronouns and but some of that, to me, which we got to take a look at, is if someone's going into evaluation report and looking for a pronoun, then we got some serious problems with who's leading up, and we need to take a look at that. But the names, I agree with you. Some people will say a name goes to a certain position, and what I want to be able to do is tell people we have tested it. We've done, had scientists look at that, and really that's our next step. And but what we want to do is we want to take immediate action on the photos. We can do that right now, and we've done that on the board. And we put together, part of the team that we've put together is that to go ahead and get after that. But what can leaders do? A lot of it, what leaders can do is getting with their soldiers at every single level. I talked about this the other day. Is we're not suggesting that you get and have these conversations with your leaders every level. We are directing you.
Exactly.
Get out there. It's just like you asked me, and I asked. You got a chance to. What's your background? What makes you tick? Where do you come? When I was in waiters up to my, at the Quincy sewage department, the pumping plant, shoveling away this grate, it really was a defining moment for what I wanted to do in life. And quite frankly, there's great people that do that, but I wanted an opportunity to do something else. That's why I joined the military. And there's a lot of young men and women out there that may want to look for an opportunity to get ahead. And the military may provide that opportunity. But what we have to do, especially if they're of diversity, is that they know that they can come to the United States Army and we're going to take care of them. And quite frankly, in some cases, we have not. And that's why, we're going to take a hard look at ourselves. The Army is great about doing after action reports. It's important that we take a look at things and we have independent people take a look at some of the things going on, and then we hold people accountable if they're not doing the right thing the right way.
Absolutely. Holding people accountable if they're not doing the right things in the right way. How can we do that? What are some of the processes out there to hold people who are doing incorrect things or biased things or proven wrong things? What are some of the things that soldiers, civilians, family members can do?
Well, the first thing is that they got to trust the chain of command, and at various levels, if the chain of command is not doing the job, they need to go to the right level of chain of command. But there's also outside agencies that they can go to. They can go to the IG. They can go to EO. They can go to make protected communications. But what we need to do, and what ideally I would like to see, is you have these conversations. So if there's things being said or things going wrong, I would like to see our soldiers at the lowest level intervene and stop it. One of the things I gave a soldier's medal to Master Sergeant Royer out at Fort Leavenworth. There was an active shooter. He ran into harm's way and basically saved a bunch of soldiers' life by his courageous heroism. I would like to see the same thing when it comes to sexual harassment, when it comes to racism, when it comes to extremism. Our soldiers intervene, and they intervene early on. They don't wait till it gets bad. Someone makes an inappropriate comment. Someone says something. Immediately they stop that. They set the tone. They don't let it foster into a situation that could turn very, very bad. So at every single level, we need to inculcate into the culture that you have a responsibility to take action on these type of issues.
Gotcha. Sir, can I ask, what are some of the challenges that's facing our Army right now? And be 100% real with me. So what are some of we you and I, or everyone who's checking out our discussion, what are some of the challenges that we're facing right now, and how can we directly target and combat those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I've talked about this, we've got a great army. It's the world's greatest army. It on any battlefield, we've got highly trained, disciplined soldiers, done incredible things. But what I'm most concerned about is things that affect people, because I talk about people being first. And the three things that I think are affecting people that we need to really concentrate on is, number one is sexual harassment, sexual assault. Number two is I'm very concerned about the behavioral health of our soldiers, especially with COVID. So when it comes to suicides, we've got to make sure we're taking care of our soldiers. And number three is racism and extremism in the force. Those three, the priority may change in what unit you're in, depending on where you're at. But those three are three things that I've focused our leaders on, our commanders on. And those are three things that hurt our people. They also impact the trust of the American people. The parents, they're going to, consider sending their sons and daughters to the military, the army. They're going to make sure that the organization they're going to go to, they're going to be taken care of, and they're going to be treated with dignity and respect. So those are absolutely key that we have in the United States Army.
Gotcha, sir. Gotcha, sir. So, sir, can I talk to you a little bit about the philosophies, and how do you place your philosophies into the soldiers that you have assigned under you, and how can they then take those philosophies, measure it, and actually come back and report to you about racial inclusion and diversity?
Yeah, the philosophy is I think that's a great question, because I've talked about people first. That's not a motto. That's not a slogan. That's a philosophy. And as I go around and talk to, I talk to pre-command course, I talk to all the commanders. It's on everything that we do. Is I want every single leader, all the way down, to pick up on that philosophy that people come first. And the second is winning matters, and that's just not about the Red Sox or the Patriots. That's an attitude that we want in the United States Army. That when we send soldiers somewhere, we're not going to participate. We're not going to try hard. We're going to win, because there's no second place or honorable mention in combat or anything we do. And we all have got to define what winning means for our organization. And to me, when you have an organization that's a cohesive team, where everyone treats everyone with dignity and respect, and everyone takes care of each other, that is what winning looks like under your leadership. And what we need to do is reinforce that. We're checking the sergeant majors out there. He's got, this is my squad. It needs to get down all the way to the lowest level in our forces. Everyone needs to share that attitude. Everyone needs to make that part of the culture. And we're going to have to continue to reinforce that. And oh, by the way, what's different about the Army as an organization, we bring 130,000 soldiers in every single year. And they're coming into those things we call squads. That's why this is my squad is so important. That's why those NCOs at the lowest level are so important, because they're going to instill our culture, our values into these soldiers that are coming to the Army, and they've got to live them.
I would agree so, sir. Your squad should be, just as important as, say, your family. These are the people that you're spending most of your waking day with. These are the people that will have your back, possibly if you go into an area of combat, or even in a civilian area. These are the people that will be there for you, left and your right. So there's got to be systems to protect them. There's got to be systems set up to support them. And there's got to be systems to hold those who sway and do bad things, be held accountable for their actions as well. So, sir, may I ask you a question regarding, moving forward? How can, say, for instance, an African-American or a female soldier or Hispanic or Asian, how can they entrust into you and your leadership style and the soldiers that's appointed over them? How could they entrust that the Army is doing the right thing, no matter what? Even if it's an unconscious bias thing that we're addressing directly or indirectly, how can they entrust into themselves that, hey, the Army has my back, and moving forward, I think I'm going to be a success in this military organization?
Well, I think that what we have to do is show by actions. It's good that we're going to listen. It's good that we're going to hear. it's good that we're talking about this, but this is a long-term, enduring process that we need to demonstrate that we're getting after. So, we're taking some immediate action with the photos. We're taking some immediate actions as far as with the symbols, as far as what flags are authorized on posts to do that, after some of the divisive things that are going on. But it's really what we got to show our soldiers of diversity that we're actually serious about this. They're going to be looking at, the leaders and going, do I have an opportunity to be the chief of staff of the Army? Do I have a opportunity to be the sergeant major of the Army? Where are the leaders that look like me up on the wall? And we have to compete for them at an early level. We got to mentor them all along, and we got to get them into the place, because unlike other organizations, if they want diversity at the top, they can go out and hire it. But because of our system, we have to bring them in as privates to be sergeant majors, or we have to bring them in as second lieutenants to be generals, and that can take 25 years. So we've got to really work that within the system to make sure that we have a long-term solution to the diversity that we're trying to get after in the Army.
Tracking. So, sir, I know there are many organizations that set up right now to actually start, I guess, fitting that pipeline of soldiers that are smart, soldiers that are diverse, soldiers that are dedicated for the long run relationship with the military. What are some of the different programs right now, or maybe or not, what are some of the programs right now that's set up to increase that diverse pool of our future leaders in the military?
Well, I'll start with, with West Point. West Point has the most diverse class that we've ever had in the history of West Point that came in today.
And the commandant too.
Yeah, well, yeah, Lieutenant. I mean, if you look at Lieutenant General.
Looks like we have a little bit of internet. Looks like we have a little bit of a disconnect on the internet right now, and we'll wait for General McConville to return. Let's go back on the solo screen. So if you are checking out our discussion right now, we're still going with General McConville regarding the Army's commitment to diversity and racial inclusion, where we've already tackled a few of the topics already, and we're having a good time with these discussions. So I'm hoping that you get a chance to hear some of the philosophies of the General, hear some of the things that he encourages and celebrates. It looks like we're still trying to work through some of the disconnection issues, but what are some of the things that you're enjoying in the discussion? Feel free to leave some of the comments there, and we may end up sharing them on the screen. We may share it with the General, and he will then answer them, and then I will get a chance to actually share them at a later discussion today. But as we're going right now, General McConville has been disconnected already. I'm hoping that you're enjoying the discussion up to now. So here we go. We're going to bring him right back on right now. Hey, sir,
sorry,
back.
We live in a life of technology, and sometimes technology.
It's okay.
But I do want to, because Lieutenant General Darrell Williams, who's the superintendent of West Point, African American, incredible officer, has done. Again, as people look up and they go, "Wait a minute, here's the head of the academy. First African American leading the academy." Combat arms officer, multiple combat tours, all the things that you'd ever want an incredible leader, and young cadets can go, well, I could be like that, and so the head of a recruiting command that just took over is Major General Vereen, Kevin Vereen, African American, and so as we take a look around, the G1 that's taking over, Director of Personnel, is General Gary Brito, African American. So we're going to see the head of the reserves that's just going to take over is Major General, soon to be Lieutenant General Jody Daniels. General Laura Richardson is out there commanding as a 3-star. She's the one that's making all the COVID things happen in the country that comes to and doing the hurricane. So we have officers of diversity across the Army. We just got to make sure they're seen. We got to make sure they get in the right place. But more importantly, we got to make sure the pipeline is there. One of the challenges with even general officers, we don't have many. And, so, there's one or two in a branch get to rise to that level. We start out with, 5,000 or 6,000 lieutenants, and only a couple will make general officer at the end. And so we've got to compete with the best and brightest of diversity and make sure we mentor them along, because it's a long road of being in the arena to get to that level. And if we miss, then, 25, 26 years from now, you kind of have what you have. So it's very, very important we build a very strong bench.
Excellent. Sir, I know your time is limited, so I just want to say just thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I'm going to come back and possibly feed some questions that I had on the side that I was not able to address during our discussion, but I want to just say thank you for taking the opportunity to talking with me. Many people are enjoying our discussion, and we're looking forward to some of the follow-up with you. I agree with you. Winning matters, and we're going to celebrate winning. We are a stronger Army, a diverse Army, and we are a winning Army. So shout out to you, sir, and thank you for taking that opportunity to talk with me today.
Well, I enjoyed talking. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. We get some, more time. I really appreciate your questions. I appreciate your interest, and it's very, very important that our people understand where the senior Army leadership is going on this issue. We consider it very, very important. It's absolutely critical that we aggressively get after that. And I think the time is now. I look at, we have a crisis going on in the country when it comes to social injustice. I think we need to acknowledge it, recognize it, and get after it right now. And that's what we intend to do.
Awesome, sir. All right, sir, we'll talk again. You take it easy. All right, sir?
Okay, thank you.
All right. And so we had a great discussion with General McConville today. I hope that you enjoyed the discussion. As I said, if you have questions that you want to add on to our discussion panel to be addressed later, feel free to leave those comments on our YouTube and our Facebook pages, and of course on LinkedIn when it's shared there as well. As I always say in parting, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of others. Bye from the 5th now.